All right. Hello, everybody. My name is Jordan Pittner. I'm the co-director at Signal Mountain Indoor, along with my wife, Holly. We both work together and run this program. Wanted to make a video for anybody who was not able to meet with us last Tuesday, whenever we met with our parent and member meeting, because I know some of you have some questions that um, need to be answered before you can fully commit to this activity. So what I want to cover today is several fold, where we want to kind of cover what we are, what we're doing, what you should expect. We also want to cover schedule considerations, financial considerations, and then our calendar of performances and sort of what we expect. We're also going to talk about volunteer needs because we will need more volunteer support than ever this year for a big fundraiser that we have, and also a big opportunity for this group. So we'll cover all that. I'll try to be mindful of our time as we go through all of this information, but I also know that there's going to be things that either I gloss over quickly and don't explain well enough, or things that you just have questions about that I didn't cover. I'll also talk about how you can reach out to Holly and myself at the end of this for any further questions you have before you commit. So let's start by talking about what Indoor Winds is exactly. This is especially for our middle school families who probably just have never heard of this before. The simplest way that I can put it is it is indoor marching band. We, instead of being out on a football field, we scale down a show, make it a little bit smaller, a little bit closer. We put it on a basketball court instead of a football field. Um, there are a lot of nuances that are different about it that really aren't that important for this informational meeting. What I like to say is when you see it, you'll get it. It'll make a little bit more sense, how it's different and all those different things. This is just a little bit of history about indoor winds, which is technically what we compete in. It originally started from an offshoot of what we call winter guard or indoor guard. So all of our color guard members who join us in the fall, the ones that spin the flags or spin the wooden rifles, um, they didn't really have an opportunity a long time ago to continue to enjoy their art form in the off season after the marching band season is over. And so some people got together and decided that they wanted to create an opportunity for color guard members to continue on, sort of like percussionists and winds have concert band, they have community bands. Well, now color guards had winter guard, and it became a very big thing. This was almost 50 years ago. Um, and so that activity has really grown. It's a huge thing. Every year at the Color Guard National Championships, the Winter Guard Championships, there's over 300 color guards that come together and compete in Ohio. So it's a big thing. And so indoor winds a little bit different. We technically compete in indoor winds, but that does not mean that wind players, when I say that, I mean um, woodwinds like clarinets, flutes, saxophones, and brass instruments like trumpets and tubas and trombones. Those aren't the only people that are included in what we do. We actually allow color guard members to come into our program, as well as percussionists who stay stationary. They don't. We don't have a battery like the snare drums and the bass drums, just because gyms are really, really loud and they'll kind of wash out the sound of the winds. But we do allow them to play stationary instruments on the field, and that's something that they are welcome and encouraged to do. Most ensembles we compete against are winds only, but we just like having the opportunity to include all of our students and give all of any student who's interested the opportunity to do this. And then just one more quick slide here. Don't have to cover this very much, but Signal Mountain Indoor is an extension of our long-term goals for our program. We believe that we have the parent support, the administrative support, the educational support, the financial support to be a premier performing arts group, one of the best in the Southeast, one of the best in the country. We've competed on the national stage before and had, if I'm being honest, more success than we expected to have on our first outing. And we believe that that's a place that we can continue to grow and improve and really be one of the best in the entire country. Our indoor program is open to all sections, grades 7 through 12. So if you are a seventh grader today, you are welcome to join. No experience necessary. For our wind players, we do ask that you have experience on your instrument. So that means that you are currently in concert band, actively playing the instrument that you are looking to play. I know there's a couple of small exceptions. Our French horn players will play a mellophone, which is a little different. But we are fully prepared for new members to walk in on day one with no information and be a successful part of this organization. So here's the real meat and potatoes of what we need to cover today. I formatted this for a presentation, but I know this isn't very neat chronologically. So I'm going to include a sheet that covers everything a little bit more together, but I wanted to parse these out so I could talk about them in sort of a different flow than what makes sense to physically have. So I'll attach that file as I put this video out. The main thing that you need to know is this rehearsal schedule right here. We meet every Tuesday and Thursday, with a few exceptions for senior clinic, a couple times when just a lot of people will be out of town. We'll communicate those as they come. But Tuesdays and Thursdays are our main meeting time, and we meet from 5:30 to 8 p.m. This starts in January 9th. That's a Thursday, so we don't rehearse that first Tuesday, but then Thursday, the 9th, when we're back in school, will be our first regular rehearsal. We'll go all the way to March 28th, which is the last Thursday before our final show. Well, that's actually a Friday, which we'll talk about in a moment, before our championships on the 29th. Additionally, here you'll see a staging camp. That is a place for us to introduce new members to marching. That is a place for us to hand out the first draft of the music and begin to work on that. And then staging is where we put members on the floor, on the field, where they're supposed to go at different parts of the show. So I actually have a software that I use that sort of plots everybody onto the field, and we can sort of visualize how everything's going to play out. And then we teach everybody, hopefully the first minute and a half of the show or so in December. I'm going to skip this one for just a moment. I talked about formatting and now I'm changing my mind to talk about show days first. So our show days, when we talk about show days, we're talking about the days that we go out and we actively compete. So these are pretty much all day events. We don't really know the exact schedule for a little while because we have to, um, it's a whole thing. But the contest administrators eventually tell us, what time we perform. You'll notice most of these places aren't very close. And the reason for that is just because not many places around here host competitive events. So we have the option of either driving up to Knoxville or driving down to Atlanta. And just for traffic considerations, I just feel like Knoxville's a better place, so that's where we go. So these show days are all on Saturdays. These are required events. These are our most important days. If you were a member of this ensemble, you were expected to be here for all four of these shows, as well as these Friday evenings. We rehearse from 5:30 till 8 on Fridays before show days. So you'll see January 31st before our qualifier show. February 21st before this Gibbs High School show. I have this one in parentheses. I asked that if you register, you expect us to go to that one. That is a maybe show. If we have enough enrollment to justify going to a fourth show, we really want to go because these are great experiences. This is typically our students. This is their favorite, their favorite days of our program. So if you sign up, expect that we will be traveling on February 22nd. Once enrollment closes, I will spend some time and make sure that makes sense from a budgetary and a competitive standpoint based on how many enroll. And then March 1st, we have WGI Chattanooga. This one is something we're thrilled about. So a little bit of backstory. This show will be hosted at Signal Mountain Middle High School, which we are thrilled about. WGI is sort of like the NFL of our activity, I guess you could say. They are it's Winter Guard International, and they have contests all over the world. They have about 20 total in the entire United States. And we are thrilled to be one of the hosts for one of these events. We applied back in, I think, February, hoping that in the next 5 years we could justify to WGI having an event in our space. But they apparently appreciated our preparedness and our thoroughness and said, we choose you to be one of the places for us to hold a show. So we're really thrilled about this. We will need a lot of support on this day. But the great news is families don't have to travel 2 hours away to come and watch us compete. They can just stay in town, drive 15 minutes to the school, watch us, cheer us on, and hopefully volunteer a little bit as well. And then our final day together is March 29th at our ETPA, which is kind of like our circuit. It's sort of like our local competitive grouping, is what East Tennessee Performing Arts Association, ETPA, stands for, at Carnes High School, which is about 90 minutes away. Let's talk about cost. There are two considerations in the cost. The first one is the total fees for the season are $400. In order to officially be enrolled on December 2nd, we will ask for that $100 deposit. And then it's basically $100 a month through the season. So, if you want to think about what that covers, that's our staff and design payments, the people who help put the show together, including our music arranger. We'll have things like set design, which I'll happily talk to you about if you have questions. I don't necessarily want to cover that in this video. Soundtrack and design, show and circuit registration. It costs money to go to these shows up here. And so we'll have to pay that. And then the last one's travel based on membership. So last year, the cost of the buses are just getting higher and higher and higher. And so we reached out to our parents and we said, hey, do we have enough people going to the show already where we can get all of our members into a vehicle and drive and not invest in that bus cost? My hope is that we have enough members this year to justify a bus. It's hard when we have like 20 to 25 members, as much as the buses cost nowadays to justify. But we really are wanting to do our very best to make that part of our fees. And then the second thing here, we may have additional costuming costs. Again, we take very seriously the cost of this. We know $400 is it's a large investment for families and for students. We want to incorporate this into the budget as best as we can. But what we're asking is you expect that we may have up to no more than $70 in additional uniform costs for your students. Again, we're trying to keep that number as low as we can. If we're able to incorporate it fully in this $400, we will. But there may be some things we'll cover as we get closer. Expect the total cost to be $400 and roughly $70. With this coming in about the January time is when we'll ask for any costuming purchases. But we'll communicate this by staging camp week. So we'll communicate that by December. And then the last thing I want to say about this is right here, just make sure you note, this does not go to the Signal Mountain Middle High School boosters. It goes to the school. It is a school payment. I'm going to be honest, I've never used the online portal system, but I know that you are able to make payments online through, I think it's called Givebacks. That is already up and ready to roll. So if you want to make that payment out that way, you're more than welcome to, or you can deposit a check at the school in our box next to Mr. Walker's office. There's a black box up there. If you have any questions regarding fee schedule, regarding any of this stuff, please reach out. Like I said, we know it's a big investment. I will say, we do everything we can to keep this cost low and keep the value high. Most groups competing alongside us are somewhere in the $600 to $1,000 range for a season of indoor. We don't want to go that high. This is really the max that we're trying to keep it at, while also filling everything that we need to. I want to talk a little bit about volunteer needs. It's broken up into two categories here. There are regular things that will happen through the season that we'll need some support with. That'll include uniform manager. Just that's not as detailed as it maybe sounds. We do have boosters who are able to help us with fitting people for uniforms and doing alterations, anything like that. Uniform manager would basically be people, we usually split up this responsibility, who are able to take the uniforms home, wash them, air dry them, and get them back to us either the beginning of the week or the middle of the next week, something like that. Trailer driver, I think I've had a few people reach out for this one already, but we do take our band trailer and transport all of our equipment to shows. We'll need some people to do that. Props and set design, we've got, if you saw our show in the fall, we had a giant airplane. We're not going to ask our families to build another airplane. But we will have a couple of things, some structures that we might need some problem solving help with. If you're a builder, if you're an engineer by trade or a craftsman, we would love to talk with you and help us out with some of those things. One of the biggest ones is show day support. This could mean a couple of things. We've got some parents that help with show hair. We actually have specific ways that we ask our students to have their hair prepared and have themselves presentable for show day. But that could also include just pushing things onto the floor to help our students just get set up. We have a very small window for what we call pre-show, which is when we're allowed to go onto the floor, set up our space right before we begin the show. We only have a couple of minutes to do that. So having some parent support on those show days is really helpful. The other benefit of doing that is that all of our circuits now give you like either a wristband or a badge, and it allows you into the show at no cost. Unless that's changed, unless anybody's changed policies, it should be the exact same this way. And then, like I said earlier, depending on our travel needs, let's say, for example, we get a bus to the Jefferson County show because that's a longer way away, and the Gibbs show. We may still ask for drivers for the ETPA championships because a lot of people are going to go to that one, maybe. And it's a shorter drive. So we may ask some parents to do some driving for us that day, again, to keep costs a little bit lower. And then on the other side, this is the big one. For our WGI regional at Signal Mountain, we will need lots and lots and lots of help. Even though this is an indoor event, it really contributes to the entire high school band's operating budget. So we're going to ask parents from all walks of our program to help and support us with this. But we know that we're going to need to lean heavily on families that actually have students in the program. You can just see a handful of them here. Concessions, working the concession booth in shifts during the day. Ticketing and admission, we'll have online tickets and people who need wristbands, as well as people who enter the show day of looking to buy tickets. Show flow, so our performance will actually use a huge amount of the school, and we'll need some help with parents and volunteers at different places, just making sure that things are flowing in the correct direction and that there's no traffic jams and the show can go smoothly. Drivers, I think we've got this one largely covered at this point, but we may possibly need some help getting WGI administrators and judges around town to their hotels because they'll be flying in to come to the show. And then more to come. There's lots of things we're still working on. This is a very large scale project for us, but we're also hoping it's a large scale fundraiser for the program. So we'll continue to email and ask and pester you a lot about seeing how you can help us out. And then I believe this is the last thing that we're covering. I just want to talk a little bit about the actual show. So we knew we wanted to do something in the realm of flight again to sort of complement what we did in the fall. So I thought it would be really cool to do a show based off of the Twilight Zone episode Nightmare at 20,000 Feet. If you've never seen it, it's the story of a man and his wife who are on a plane, and he thinks that he sees a monster on the wing of the plane, but nobody else can see it. And so the question that the episode postures the whole time is what he is seeing real? Or is it a breakdown. Is he just hallucinating? So we're going to do music from the Twilight Zone. We're going to do a song that I love a lot, Crazy by Gnarls Barkley. And then we're going to do music from the Godzilla Suite. In the past, we have done the same show in the winter months and indoor winds as we did in the fall show. For example, last year we did Toxic, and the fall was our theme, and then we did the same music and the same design and everything for the winter program. That's different this year. That's a new departure for us. So we're looking to create a new set design, to do totally new music, and we've got some surprises along the way. So we're really excited about that. So if you're at the end of this and you know that you're ready to go, your next steps are either to go to this link right here or scan that QR code. Move this out of the way just in case. I'm actually not even sure how it records. My image was in the way, so hopefully that helps. If you're ready to commit today, please go to this QR code, complete registration, and then you'll go either online to givebacks, however that works, or submit a check to the school for your first $100. You're also able to pay the fees in full right now if you're ready, but that's totally up to you. Ability to make payments is open today. This is not an interest form anymore, this QR code. This is, I am registering, I am committed to everything we talked about above, the schedule, the everything. I will say, I'm going to scroll back up here for a moment. When we talk about this rehearsal and calendar info, one of the things that's important to us is that students have the ability to do all of the things that they aspire to do. Marching band in the fall is a very significant time commitment. 8 hours of practice a week, plus football games, plus contests, plus extra Saturday rehearsals. We really make a big investment in the fall. We try very hard to be more accommodating in the spring. So if you have occasional Tuesday or Thursday conflicts, just please let us know those at the beginning. I can't think of an instance where we would say, no, you cannot miss this one rehearsal. We will say, though, these Friday evenings are mission critical for us. This is times where we make sure everybody's in, make sure everybody has the knowledge of what they're setting up for the show. And then the show days are mandatory as well. So these days are required. These days we'll do our best to be a little bit more flexible about the Tuesdays and Thursdays. So scrolling all the way back down, like I said, if you're ready to go ahead and select this up here. But if you're not ready to commit, you're still kind of on the fence, I would love for you to just talk to us. Here's the ways you can do that. For those of you that are in high school band, the students, the easiest way is to communicate with, let's say, me and Holly first. Miss G is kind of a second resort. But find us on Slack, put us in a group message so there's multiple adults in the message, and just let us know what questions you have. Option number 2, this is for parents mainly. Email either one of us at this email address. We both have access. We kind of trade out who communicates on it. But signalmountainindoor@gmail.com is the best place to communicate with us about indoor considerations and concerns. Option 3, for anybody who isn't on Slack, any students, I know HCDE emails can be kind of weird about going through like accepting outside sources. Holly's an elementary music teacher, so she has her own HCDE account. So I would say if you're a student and you're not in Slack, please email Holly here. Sometimes she will also send out full student emails from her address, again, just because it's HCDE and it doesn't have any problem with internal emails. So I think that covers basically everything that we need to cover. Like I said, please reach out with whatever questions you have. The deadline to register is December 2nd. That's both your registration and your first payment. And then we will get started that next week, December 9th, I believe is the day. Yeah, December 9th will be our first day of staging camp. So thank you for watching this video. I've tried to keep it as short as I can. Please reach out with us to us for any questions you have, and we hope to see you soon.